one more thing I want to say, and that's about this improvised Columbo we saw at Frigid's under St. Mark's of a hilarious group of improvisers: Maya O'Day, Aaron Appleby, Dean Rule, Jared Kirsch, Sav Snow, Nora Rosenberg, Pat Monahan, with music by Jay Reed, used Columbo as a premise to recreate an unknown episode. An audience member yelled out ventriloquist. So we got a very funny evening of jealous ventriloquists, with one being standardly funny and the other dark and into spiders with a creepy dummy named Lindy. What are they hiding besides murderous thoughts? I came up with the title, No Strings Attached, and Lisa, as a super fan of Columbo, got to pick who would play Columbo. A very good choice. It was Jay Reed, so it was a very funny how they tried to take over the music he usually provides. Jay had the glass-eye squint, rumpled coat, and cigar-smoking, gravelly voice down pat. It slowly turned to chaotic mayhem, which made everyone crack up. This is one of those shows you can see every time, as it always be different. And their next show will be Thursday, October 3rd at 10 p.m.
Well, I mean, basically, Eva has covered the show. There's really nothing left for me to say. Yes, I got to pick Jay Reed. He was perfect. You know, it was an amorphous performance. They sort of went hither and yon, and sometimes they went down some dead ends. And but they managed to successfully extricate themselves from them. And if you are a fan of 1970s Columbo, I don't really like the 1990s ones, but if you like the 1970s one, this is definitely something you should go see. This was episode 9. Episode 10 comes up next month, but you have to realize if you do go see it, you will not be seeing the same show since, of course, it's improv, so somebody will shout out something that is not ventriloquism, and it'll be a completely different take on it. Different Columbo, different storyline, but nonetheless, they did a great job. They managed to spin it into a 1970s TV program pretty good. And just one more thing, sir. I give it a happy face.
Oh, I give it a happy face too. Here we are with the very, very busy Richard Skipper, who has been all over the country, in England, he's going in Paris, and then, of course, his wonderful Hello Dolly show, plus a personal show for him, still going strong. Anyway, so tell us about your show.
This is what's happening. I was already scheduled to do my show at the Laurie Beechman Theater, still going strong, which you just referred to. And this was going to be my third show there. The last two, I'm happy to say, completely sold out. I was booked to do my show on the 29th, and I got a notification from the Laurie Beechman at the beginning of last month saying that they were shutting their doors at the end of August. And as you can imagine, my heart stopped. Everything just went out the window. But then I was looking for a venue to do my show. And thank God, the Green Room 42 came through for me. And then I get an email again to the Laurie Beechman saying, it looks like we've got a little bit of an extension. Would you be willing to do your show here before we shut our doors? And I said, I've already booked my show at another venue. However, what I will do for you is a benefit. And so, because it's Friday the 13th, and I'm very superstitious, but 13 is a lucky number for me. I've opened a lot of shows on the 13th. So I reached out to 13 amazing artists in the cabaret community who are not only incredible artists in their own right, but they're also friends of mine. And I asked if they would come together, and all of the proceeds, we're all donating our time, our energy, and all of the proceeds are going to go to keep the doors open at the Laurie Beechman Theater. And we haven't discussed this yet, but I'm hoping that this will become a monthly thing until it's no longer necessary.
Oh, and I hate to say it, but I hope someday it isn't necessary, because I love that place. I mean, every chance I get there, I eat there. I go to their GoFundMe page. I'm like, that place is just so important to the community and to the neighborhood and to everything. I love, 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 love that place.
It's a shame that so much has changed in terms of New York nightlife because of COVID. I've been living in New York this summer, last month, marked 45 years ago that I came to New York. And one of the things that I love about New York is, as Candor Neb wrote, it's the city that never sleeps. Unfortunately, that's no longer the case. A lot of restaurants shut down at 9 o'clock at night. A lot of them are still suffering because people, I think that people got cautious and people got afraid to go out. And people are not going out as much as, let's face it, Eva, you and I have the handle on this. We're out all the time. But my feeling is that when the day comes that I can no longer enjoy what New York has to offer, goodbye. I hope it's my last day because I really love what New York has to offer. And of course, the West Bank and the Laurie Beachman are so much a part of that.
Time for you to go into Green Room 42. Have you ever played in that room before?
I've performed there, not in terms of doing my own show there, but I have appeared on that stage through other organizations, being brought in to come in and do a number or two. I did my Magic of Believing show there, but it was part of the American Songbook Association.
Oh, speaking of the American Songbook Association and getting back to Hello Dolly now, I remember you once were there and you brought all the original people back through the years. I mean, you had like about 50 people there or something, and some surprising people. I couldn't believe Spider was in the cast of Hello Dolly. I'm like, Spider, what are you, really? I had no clue. So you'll never know who's appeared in Hello Dolly.
Well, it all started with Carol Channing. As you know, I had the good fortune of being a good friend of Carol's. She was a very dear friend. And when she got her star on the Palm Springs Walk of Fame, I was invited to come out and be a part of that celebration. I stayed at her home, and Carol and I were talking, and she said, Richard, you know more about Hello Dolly than either I or Jerry Herman put together. I think you should start chronicling the history. And of course, a light bulb went off, and I thought, I'm going to write a book, which I'm still working on, folks. But I started putting this together. I was in Palm Springs, and I posted on Facebook that I was thinking of doing this book. And then someone got in touch with me and said, you should interview Roberta Olden. And of course, I at the time, I did not know who that was, but I reached out. Roberta Olden was Ginger Rogers' personal assistant the last years of Ginger Rogers' life. And Roberta Olden, that was my very first interview. She lived in Palm Springs. I reached out to her. We met one afternoon, and she opened up. Ginger Rogers took over when Carol Channing left the show to do the first national tour. And Ginger Rogers kept journals, and her mother kept journals. So I have these incredible journals in Ginger Rogers' own words about what the opening night of Hello Dolly was like for her and her closing night. And of course, I've had the chance to interview so many people. You finish an interview and you say, who do you think I should talk to? And then that person would recommend somebody, and they would recommend somebody, and that person would recommend somebody. And it's just amazing. I've done over 1,000 interviews, and it's just amazing over the years that we've been able to put all this information together.
I hope you're actually mentioning in the book the whole tracking down, because it's almost like a mystery, like a suspenseful like novel, following the clues. Instead of follow the money, follow the dolly.
It's like a spider web, because not only was the original Broadway run ran for 7 years, but there was also the first Australian company, which starred Carol Cook. Very interesting story. David Merrick wanted Julie Wilson to do that. And Julie Wilson's husband at the time said that if she did, she would not see her children again, which was heartbreaking to her because he didn't want her to go around the world to do this. So Carol Cook ended up doing it. Mary Martin did the first international tour, which toured 16 cities in the United States and then went to Vietnam and London. And then there were the Vegas companies. And then, of course, everywhere in the world, as Jerry Herman used to say, there was a woman coming down a staircase, normally in a red dress with a red headdress on, with singing waiters welcoming her back to the human race. So there's a production of Dolly going on somewhere as we speak right now.
Delve into his brilliant Dolly brain for September 29th and also find out about his life.
The Green Room 42, and I want to say it's a 1 o'clock show. And the great thing about Green Room 42 is it's just, the cover, but there's no minimum. If you want to have food and the food is great there, that's a choice that you make, but you're not forced to have that minimum. And so thank you, Green Room 42, for that.
And it's a wonderful room. I love going there.
I love it.
And you're in the beautiful Yotel Hotel. It's very spaceshipy to get there. So you're already.
And I know that we're running out of time, but I want to say very quickly, my special guest is Eden Castile, who has a wonderful show celebrating Madeline Kahn. And we're doing this show on the 29th because it's Madeline Kahn's birthday. And we're going to be celebrating Madeline Kahn's contributions to Dolly. Did you know she played Dolly?
No.
See? Yeah, come to see the show. You'll learn a lot.
And wear red on the 29th.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, because it was Carol Channing's favorite color.
I will be in red.
Yes, and I will too.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Paula B. Stanik's tracks are the issues faced between a father and son, old friends, and being Black in England, which are much the same obstacles that African Americans have to face. It's set against the background in August of 2011 over the death of the Black young man, Mark Dugan. Violent unrest against the police lasts for 5 days, ending in deaths, injuries, and homelessness. Mickey is trying to connect with his surly 15-year-old son, Jack. He is worried after the August riots and if Jack knew Mark Dugan. Jack won't confide in his dad. He just releases his feelings during these monologues with flashing lights. I have no idea if he was talking to a psychiatrist or filming something for YouTube. Meanwhile, an old close friend of Mickey, Simone, tries to reconnect with them, but they have both changed a lot since they were abandoned kids looked after by this caring woman. They were all going through issues, but it was hard to figure out what they were. The dad wants to tell the kids something urgently, but we never find out what it is. Simone enlists Mickey to do something drastic to her, but we never find out why she does this, and he helps. The son is confiding in someone or something, but what is it, and why not talk to the dad? The accents and terminologies took some getting used to, but the acting was so realistic that I became invested in their relationships working out. It's a shame the ambiguous writing that left me dangling in spots didn't match these exceptional actors, so I'm only giving it a happy face minus.
Recently saw a wonderful play called The Ask by Matthew Freeman at the Wild Project. The play is two characters having a tense dialogue about generational differences. Greta, excellent Betsy Aiden, she's a widow who had been a supporter of the ACLU all her life, except the last year she did not give them any donations. And Tanner, Colleen Litchfield, who's much younger, she comes to visit her in her apartment to find out what happened. Greta, she has two concerns. One is that she had a contact named Carol, and she used to deal with her all her life, and Carol left, but she never contacted her, never talked to her, and she's very hurt. But the second thing she feels that ACLU has lost their focus recently, and they're dealing with extracurricular activities and issues, and they kind of feel that her generation is being left behind. But Tanner, she really, really tries to convince her that that is not the case. They are still dealing with all those previous factors, plus some things have changed, and the language perhaps, and it is, and Greta is also a little upset about this new woke kind of issues, and feels that her group has been left behind. And it's a wonderful acting. At one point, Tanner, when Greta takes a little brief to go back to receive a telephone call, she starts to cry. And I'm just wondering, why is she crying?
Yeah, that crying scene was very bizarre to me because she cries, but we never are told why she's crying. But only, it's funny because if you read the play, there's all this context you're completely unaware of. Yeah, it was fascinating to see the intricacies of fundraising, that it's very difficult to get someone to donate and the other person to commit to a donation that they don't believe in anymore. And the acting was superb. Betsy Aiden, just coming off her success with Prayers for a French Republic, was wonderful as a bristling, passionate Greta. And Colleen Litchfield showed an array of expressions. I like Matthew Freeman's play. He's a very good writer, but political plays aren't my thing. And so I got bogged down when it got kind of technical, but the interchange between the two of them was so interesting. And I have to say, The Ask is a very interesting play to see in these times, but I'm giving it a mixed space plus.
But I enjoyed the play, and I agree with Eva. but I also kind of like had a little hesitation at some moments. So it is a happy face minus for me.
Douglas Lyne's Table 17 is an old-fashioned romantic comedy that I haven't seen in a long time. Jada meets Dallas. Jada loses Dallas. You know, boy meets girl, boy gets girl kind of thing. But after being apart for 2 years, will Jada and Dallas reconnect and get back together again? The jaded maitre d' of Bianca's ends up serving this volatile couple. Even he ends up feeling invested in the outcome. During the course of their drinks and appetizers, we get flashbacks to the start and end of their relationship. With a stunning costume design by Davario D. Simmons, Kara peels in and out of outfits in a twinkling, always ending up in the date ensemble. You can't go wrong when you have Kara Young in the cast. From the moment she asked our opinion of her outfit, we were on her side. Nobody does comedy and poignant scenes like Miss Young. Biko Eisen Martin, who played Dallas, made it easy to understand why Jada would fall in love with him at first sight. There's a very amusing moment where the audience is basically invited to turn on him. We really felt privy to the actions unfurling, and Michael Richon was spectacular as a snarky gay man and a straight guy pursuing Jada. I thoroughly enjoyed this without reservation. Happy face.
A wonderfully long epic play by S. Shati Dharan is produced by the Public Theatre and is being done at Skirball. It's called Counting and Cracking. This epic deals with 3 generations of Sri Lankan family in Colombo, Sri Lanka, and in Australia. When play starts, it's about a woman named Radha, who's like middle-aged lady, very strong, confident, wonderful lady, and her son, who's like 21 years old. Eventually it shifts. It is actually, for me, I think it's a memory. It's a memory play because we kind of see the play through Radha's eyes. It goes back to Sri Lanka, where it is dealt with her father, mother, grandfather, the very affluent kind of family comparing with other people in Sri Lanka. The father, Appa, he is a minister in the government.
Trade minister.
Who also is very friendly with the prime minister. And prime minister has a son, and they want Radha to get married to that guy with arranged marriage. But, you know, like she is a very un-Sri Lankan woman, actually. She's very, very, very confident and know what she wants. And she falls in love with a guy named Thiru, who was not well off at all. He's actually the son of a fruit vendor. But the problem of this, the problem is the third world country, is so many political issues. There's a government which is Sihala, and Tamil is the people. And they are just having constant conflict, violent political conflict. And because of those things, she one day has to leave and she moves to Australia, you know. And then we see the other part, which we've been seeing in the beginning. And then I, you know, like think the memory keeps going back and forth. Politically, it's very, very confusing because the audience do not really know the situation in that part of the world. So it was very difficult to concentrate. But lots of things were very fabulous because the way I love the direction that used no props, instead of just like the, you know, actors holding the telephones, make-believe telephones, they're making the ship, they're having a funeral. It was really, really wonderful to watch, but very, very, very confusing for me politically. And I'm from that kind of part of the world, but still confusing.
Yeah, Counting and Cracking, it delves into Sri Lankan politics and how it affects this one family. But not only is there unrest between the Tamil and the Sinhala, but there's this violent faction called the Tigers that's going after everyone. I just found it all very confusing because at first when they're talking about the Tigers, I thought they were talking about the animal. I didn't know there was this like political faction. And there's talk of changing the language that upsets Arpa, and Arpa's wife Aha wants no politics talked about in the house, and especially when their daughter Brada is born. So yes, it goes back and forth in time. I don't think of it as a memory play, just as a play that has flashbacks to, you know, earlier times, but you know, it starts in present time in Australia. And Siddhartha, that's Radha's son who's in Australia, and he's never been to Sri Lanka because Radha left when she was pregnant, and he meets Lily, who is a young Lungu. So there's a lot of talk about roots and belonging for both of them, and you wonder what will become of this displaced family. And there were lots of confusing moments that weren't explained. Like at one point, Russia is threatened in Australia from Sri Lanka fundraisers, but nothing comes of the scene. And even though it's 3.5 hours long, it did move quickly. The acting was magnificent, and I got quite caught up in the family drama. That's the part that I liked. Although there are a lot of people involved, like there's this guy named Hosa who's a journalist who was supposed to marry Radha, but he helps them out in the situation. There's Simul, who has taken over her house in Sri Lanka, and it's just about being displaced, to flee your country, immigration, all that stuff that's going on right now. And it shows what happens when unrest between factions gets out of hand. And that's something we can relate to in today's times. But because of the confusing nature of the politics, I'm giving it a mixed faith. But if you go to Wikipedia, it's very interesting to fill in the blanks.
Yeah, I just have to add a little something to it, because you see, this play could have been really, really dull if it was slow moving. It's 3.5 hours long, but I really very thrilled with the direction, because very fast pacing, very energetic, and the actors were just like very athletic. But I also noticed one more thing. I'm an immigrant myself, that the older family, like Mother Radha, they're always living in the past. Their culture is from the past. Even if I've lived there a very long time, there cannot be 1 million person assimilated. But the son, who has a girlfriend from Australia, he's very happy. He doesn't know anything about his past. This is not his past. This is his life. So his culture is very kind of like not really 100% Australian, because he has a beautiful mother and he respects our culture. But it made me feel, if you're born here or any other place, that's where you are very comfortable physically, emotionally, and the mother kind of is in the past. This was my learning process from this play as myself.
Oh, see, no, just the opposite. Because in the end, Siddhartha wants to go to Sri Lanka and find out about his roots, because he's always been an other situation. He knows he's different from Australians, and and the culture was kept alive by his mother. So he's sort of trying to bridge two different cultures. And
no, I know it's true, but he would like to go back to see his culture and his background, but he's not as unhappy or disturbed all the time as
because he didn't have to be in the middle of a war and
yeah,
have
well, that's true. But it was just a cultural thing I kind of noticed, so I just wanted to put my 2 cents in it. Oh, I still give like a happy place plus minus. Yeah.
F. Scott Fitzgerald's Diamond as Big as a RItz has been musicalized with music and lyrics by Seth Beeson-Hirsch, book and additional lyrics by R.C. Staub. They take F. Scott Fitzgerald's cautionary tale of the evils of accumulating wealth and interweaves it with Yash and Mira, who are trying to get into the United States from Canada, but only Yash has the proper paperwork and they want to deport his girlfriend Mira. Will reenacting Diamond as Big as a RItz help them out of their situation? So this is now the Diamond as Big as the RItz part of the story. Percy invites John from prep school to visit his family hidden away in a mountain in Montana to protect their vast accumulation of huge diamonds. Percy has this overprotected sister, Kismine, who falls for John, the first boy she's ever been alone with. And while Braddock, Percy's dad, seems a convivial host, he can be quite ruthless over his hatred of aviators. And Mrs. Washington, Percy's mother, is fond of her high teas infused with alcohol. Their poor overworked slave servant Gibson was told the Confederate won the war, so she can be kept in her place literally, as there is no escaping this monument to wealth. Will the characters in the book and in real life escape their fate, or will they make their own fate? The acting and singing was wonderful, and the whole show sparkled, and I give it a happy face. And now for the theater listings. And don't forget, our next show is October 5th. Now, new to New York at the York that's been going on right now. I just saw them doing Twist of Fate with book and lyrics by Lissa Levin, music by Ron Abel, and directed by Bill Castellino. It's about fortune tellers, heritage, and passing down knowledge. It's closed now, but it's very interesting that fortune telling was considered illegal, and a lawyer took it up as a First Amendment right. So that was fascinating. But you can still see Monte Cristo from September 21 through 29 and Inundated October 4th through 13th at York Theater at St. Jean's. And also you have a chance to see Wayfaring Strangers improvised bluegrass musical by Theater of Apes at the Pit Loft, September 22nd. I went last month in August. It was hysterical. They concoct an incredible musical with something you make up. I happen to say corn pone, and they say, what's corn pone? I'm like, I don't know, corn porn. So they did a thing with sexy corn, and it was hilarious. And then they have another improv group that kind of opens for them. So it's a lot of fun, and, you know, become prepared to speak out. Sing out, Louise. And now coming up, closing September 22nd, In Search of Elaina, Players Theater, closing September 29th, A Meal at Here, which is 3 hours long. It's immersive. You get this incredible 10-course meal while you're running around doing things. I can't wait to see it. You'll find out what I think about it on Facebook. And Out of the Box is doing Michael John Lachiusa, See What I Want to See. And don't forget, September 22nd, my favorite Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS Flea Market, where I get rid of all my playbills from years and years ago. And Gingold cordially invites you to the Golden Shamrock Gala, Lynn, Ahrens, and Stephen Flaherty, Monday, September 23rd at Robert's Restaurant. And Parity Productions is doing stop motion Thursday, September 26th at the Maker Studio at Chelsea Market. And Moliere in the Park is at Negril BK for their 2024 One Love, One Theater Gala on September 30th. And Beyond the Realm is doing L.M. Feldman's Hand, Foot, Hand from September 26th to 28th at Theater 511. And closing October 5th is Redeemed at 59th Street, which Kristen Hardwick will be reviewing. On closing October 6th, Goldberg Variations at TNC. Richard Maxwell's is back with Building 1 and 2. And La Mama is doing the Belvoir's Free Theater, The Marriage, and much more. And we'll see you next time, October 5th. Happy Rosh Hashanah.